Yes, I'm back, but will I be back with a bang in Assetto Corsa Competizione? Well, we're going to find out over the next 25 minutes of this Coach Dave GT3 Sprint race with Low Fuel Motorsport. It's my first time in the cockpit in more than 3 weeks, and while I may be feeling refreshed after my holiday, I'm feeling more than a little rusty when it comes to sim racing. Now, I don't have high hopes for this one, but maybe it won't be as bad as I think. I'm in a lower split today, and I've qualified P12 on a grid of 28 cars. My time of 1:46 flat is less than 1 second off pole position, so I'm actually not that far off the pace. Also, we're at Watkins Glen, a track I know well and I have raced on fairly recently. Can we challenge for a top 10? Let's find out.
Green light.
And it's green. We are back in the saddle, and it's good to be back. However, will I still be saying that after turn 1? We've actually got a pretty good getaway, and we're applying pressure on that Ferrari in front of GT3 Sprint. I'm going to hang it out wide. I know there's 2 cars on my inside. One of them is Jerome Carpentier, and he's still there, so we're going to have to be tough coming up through the S's for the first time. It's really difficult to race up through here too wide and stay flat out, but we have managed it. We've held Carpentier off. And actually, Carpentier started 9th on the grid, so that is 1 position gain for us as well. It might be 2 because it looks like Victor Rousselot is behind us as well. Rousselot started P11, so as we come into the inner loop for the first time, there's the confirmation on the leaderboard. We're up into the top 10 already, and we're applying real pressure now on the number 1 car of GT3 Sprint. But look at Rousselot in the rearview mirror. He's got a great run through the outer loop. We're going to have to defend again here for the 2nd time in less than half a lap. I've closed off the inside line. Now, if Rousselot can maintain that outside position, he's going to have the inside for this upcoming hairpin, but he's not been able to do it. We've held Rousselot off, and we've held on to this top 10 position on a frantic opening lap here at Watkins Glen. Well, I'm really encouraged by this start. Normally I go backwards when the lights go green, and then I spend the rest of the race trying to undo the damage, but so far so good. And look in the rearview mirror, there's contact between the 2 drivers behind, and they've both run wide. Now, there's a big runoff area there, so it's not going to cost them too much time, but it is going to give me some valuable breathing room. They are now 1 second behind, so I can concentrate on chasing this pack in front. So as we approach the end of lap 1, let's go back and check out a replay of the start. Now, I thought there was some shenanigans behind me, and I wasn't wrong. Keep your eye towards the back of the pack on the inside. We're going to see the Ferrari of Lennart Sliper get out onto the grass as he misses his braking point. He's trying to avoid everyone, but he careers into the McLaren of Julian Fontaine. Now, Fontaine started right alongside me on the grid, so that's how close I came to disaster there. Instead, I wisely chose the wider line through T1, and that earned me 2 positions. Meanwhile, towards the end of the lap, watch the red Ferrari. Carpentier runs into the back of that black McLaren of Victor Rousselot. They both go wide, and that gives me some breathing room. And speaking of breathing room, I certainly didn't expect to have this much of it on lap 2 of this race. We're now more than 1 second behind Prema at head, but we're more than 1 second ahead of Tommy Ollie in 11th, so we're in a pretty lowly 10th position already here. However, it does look like the pack ahead are fighting pretty closely through the inner loop, so this should give us the opportunity to start reeling them in. The number 1 Ferrari of Prema is next in my sights. However, there's an instant ahead, and McLaren's lost it. Oh, we've got such little time to react. We guessed the right way, but we squeezed by. We're also alongside Prema now, but are we still under yellow flag conditions? No, the greens are back out, so can we challenge for this position too? Prema still holding on at the moment, but we're going to have the inside line for this hairpin. We might be able to take this position, and we have done. So not only have we got past Christoph Kalinski, the driver of the McLaren who span out, we've also got past GT3 Sprint. So we're up into 8th position, but I'm not going to lie, I was more than a little fortunate with that incident involving Kalinski there. I managed to maintain most of my pace while Premrit had to get off the gas. This is a replay of the spin. Watch the green McLaren. Christoph Kalinski started P5 on the grid. He's just going to lose the rear coming through the outer loop, slides into the barrier, and he gets collected along the way. Oh, that's how close we were to hitting him. We're on board now with Fernando Barroso. Barroso was the driver who collected the McLaren on the way through. There's the contact. We look behind and we can see just how fortunate I was, not only to get by, but also to maintain my speed and get on the outside of Premrit around this left-hander. That put me in the perfect position to make the overtake in the next turn. So we're returning to the live action at the start of lap 3, and we're now right on the tail of Fernando Barroso in that Ferrari. However, we're dragging along Tommy Ollie as well behind. He's just 0.5 of a second back. Now Ollie started down in 18th on the grid, so he's done really well to carve his way through this pack during the opening 2 laps. And as we reach the top of the S's, we've got a little bit of a run on Barroso now. We're going to pick up a toe from the Ferrari ahead, and that's going to give us a speed advantage, but I don't think we're quite close enough to consider slinging it up the inside into the inner loop. It's a brave move at the best of times, but we weren't quite close enough there, so I'm just going to tuck back in behind the Ferrari. Meanwhile, in the rearview mirror, there is an Aston Martin that is getting bigger and bigger. Tommy Ollie is closing in. He's just 0.4 of a second behind now. I am wondering whether I might be at a little bit of a disadvantage having chosen the BMW M4. I'm the only BMW on this grid. I chose it as the safe and steady option, knowing that I was a little bit rusty and out of practice, but we may be down on power a little bit compared to some of these other cars. We're certainly down on power compared to Ollie. Look at him in the rearview mirror. He is putting us under all sorts of pressure now. Can we be brave and hold our line into this right-hander? Yes, we can. Well, we are in a 3-way battle now for 7th position. Barroso 7th, we're in 8th, Tommy Ollie 9th. We're going to jump forward now to lap 4, approaching the inner loop, and it's still just as tight. We're 0.6 of a second behind Barroso, and Ollie is just 0.4 of a second behind us. However, keep your eye on the Aston Martin in the rearview mirror. He is going to make a big mistake as we approach this left-hander. He's going to get a bit out of shape. He can't save it, and he is going to career off into the barrier. And I can breathe a huge sigh of relief because now we've got a near 2-second advantage back to Carpentier in 9th position. And look ahead, Barroso is going to make a mistake into the hairpin. He misses the apex completely. There is a big gap on the inside. Can we challenge him? I don't think we can, because that Ferrari was able to maintain the momentum despite having the wider line. I will try and have a sniff up the inside just to see if we can spook Barroso, but no, he's holding firm. He's holding on to that 7th position, and we seem pretty evenly matched on pace, so we could be in for a proper battle here. Right, let's go back and check out the replay to see Tommy Ollie's mistake. Now watch the rear of that Aston Martin. It just starts to slide out on entry into the corner, and it sends him out into the barrier. We're returning to the live action now, halfway through lap 5, and we've just let Barroso start to creep away. He's opened up a few extra tenths, however he's going to get delayed now by a back marker. Adrian Ramos, though, opens up a gap on the inside to let the Ferrari through. There's still a gap for me to go through. But yeah, we're now 0.9 of a second behind Barroso, and in the rearview mirror, Carpentier is closing in as well. He's within a second now, so we're going to jump forward to lap 8. This is the halfway point of the race, and as you can see visibly, the gap in front has not come down. Barroso is maintaining his 1 second advantage. Meanwhile, I've got other problems, namely the Ferrari in the rearview mirror of Carpentier. He's now closer to me than he's ever been. The gap is just 0.3 of a second, and I know from qualifying he might be just a little bit quicker than me. He started P9 on the grid. His lap time was about 2 tenths quicker than me, so yeah, he has been reeling me in slowly but surely here. Well, the more I look behind me, the less of a chance I'll have of keeping up with Barroso. I need to forget about what's happening in the rearview mirror. I've got to try and focus on that Ferrari in front and trying to close him down. As we approach the hairpin, we're getting visibly closer again now. So I'm not ready yet to give up hope of taking this 7th position. We're going to jump forward to lap 11, the end of lap 11. Now we've managed to open up a bit of a gap over Carpentier. He is now 1 second back, and we're within half a second of Barroso. So I'm finding some late race pace here. And both of us look quicker than the driver in 6th place, Tobias Mardorf, reeling him in too. So with 5 minutes of this race to go, we could yet find ourselves in a 3-way battle for the top 6. White flags came out briefly there to warn us of a slower driver, but I can't see anyone, so whatever incident there was, it must have cleared. We've not picked up any positions from it. We're still in 8th, and we are 0.4 of a second behind Barroso now, so we are getting ready to strike here. Meanwhile, behind us, it looks like we've definitely broken Carpentier now. He is 1.5 seconds back, so let's see what we can do with Barroso. Can we take 7th position? White flags are out again. Has there been another incident in front? Could we gain 7th position from a crasher? There's a cloud of dust. I still can't see a car. Oh, there's one. Oh, but it's a back marker, Joseph Asses, so we're not going to gain a position from that incident after all. I got my hopes up then. I thought we might climb into 7th position, but instead we're going to have to do it the hard way. Or are we? One of the the front runners is facing the wrong way in a cloud of dust. That was Mike Japano. Japano started P3 on the grid and was in contention for a podium, but he has crashed out. So we are up into 7th position and we're just 0.4 of a second off Barroso in 6th. Right, let's check out the replay to see what happened to Japano. He's running in 4th position and he's chasing down Jay Wood in 3rd, but he's just going to lose the rear, exiting the corner and spins off. That's the exact reason why I didn't pick the Ferrari. I've made that mistake more than once. So yeah, that spin promoted me up into 7th position. We're now going to return to the live action towards the end of lap 13. We've got just 2 minutes left on the clock now, and still, frustratingly, I can't close in those final few tenths I need to challenge Barroso for 6th in the Ferrari. We're almost identical on pace. I've been trying everything I possibly can to close him in, but it's all been to no avail so far. He's not made a mistake either. He is driving superbly. However, we have picked up a bit of toe down the start-finish straight. This is as close as we've ever been. I'm right on his tail through turn 1 and just get a bit of a slide on. Exiting the corner, that's going to cost me a tenth or two, but that gap is down to 0.2 of a second now. We are within striking distance, particularly with the toe coming down this back straight. We can't hang around anymore. We're running out of time. Just 1 minute 20 left on the clock. We're going to have this lap and one more after it, but we're still, even with the toe, we're not quite close enough to make a move. We've got to tuck in behind. Oh, but we've got our line wrong. I'm going to have to abort this turn and try and avoid the curve. Don't crash, don't crash. Oh, somehow we've managed to hold on to it. I don't know how. Oh, no damage except to my underwear there. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give up on my hopes of 6th position. Barroso has cleared off now. Let's watch the replay again. This was one wild ride. Well, I know from experience how bumpy these curbs can be if you hit them wrong, so I deliberately went off track to try and rejoin in the runoff patch, but there was an even bigger bump there and we end up with both rear wheels about a metre in the air. So yeah, I really don't know how I managed to avoid a crash there. It was a lucky escape. We could have thrown away not only our 7th position, but the top 10. With only a lap to go, it was too late to repair the damage. I had to settle for 7th position, but I'm more than happy with that. At the start of the race, I suggested I may be able to challenge for the top 10. We did more than that. We competed here, and that was really encouraging. Here are the classified results then. And my fastest lap in the race, almost identical to the ones I put in qualifying. And look how close my lap time was to Fernando Barroso. It's no surprise that I found it so difficult to get past him. We were identical on pace. The top 3 look to be in a class of their own. Race winner Alicia Bosca, Joseph Willian 2nd and Jay Wood in 3rd. But the rest, they weren't that far off. On another day, I could have challenged for a top 4 here. But a really enjoyable race this one, and it is good to be back behind the wheel. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.